So if you know anything about the show, I always say that Willie Nelson's in there. Willie's been in there kind of just, you know, doing the Willie Nelson thing for the entire time that the Airstream has been there. That's what I say. He could be just sleeping in there. Get some biscuits in the morning. This is like $1. I don't know the exact amount. It comes to $1 or something. No labels. See, the problem with Kurt Cobain is he killed a lot of people. He didn't want to write music, he wanted to kill people. Dave Grohl almost joined him, became what's known as a mediocre musician, which Foo Fighters are, they're mediocre. So that's just the way it works. Meaning they're like, eh. Overdone in Disney. Welcome back. So, this is what's in my Central Market bag. Hopefully it's not copyrighted. We'll find out. I put a little bit of everything, but what I did get was some olive oil and some red wine vinegar. Crackers. I got a cracker. It's on the crackers. And this right here. It is copyrighted. We found another area that Nirvana wasn't playing, so I don't want to hear it. If you put on Nirvana, they're late bloomers. They're not Generation X. Maybe sometimes, depends on the mood that I'm in. But here, we're going back through the salad. I'm Generation X. Okay, that's why there's FedEx behind me. Right here is the vinegar, the red wine vinegar that I'm adding to the salad. This is olive oil that I'm adding to the salad. This is the cracker. And I have a lot of crackers in here. So it's weighed down with crackers, a lot of crackers. Not a whole lot of it. Well, don't worry about it. Okay. This, I'm gonna cut like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna feed this to the birds. This right here. I got a little bit on me, but it's egg yolk. Yeah, I know. Generation X, we say egg, or we say egg yolk, but it's egg yolk. There's a lot of phthalimine. A lot of the pregnant ladies in the 70s. They gave them a lot of weird drugs because everybody was on drugs back then. Let's see if we do this right here. So we take our egg yolk and we kind of move it over. I'm trying to show you at least some of the egg yolk coming off. We take it off like that. That's mine. And the birds will get the rest. It's not good for the birds, but we don't have to worry about Nirvana. They're over with. They had their chance. They blew it. And this is the white wine vinegar right here. And then what I did is I got white mushrooms, which this is very good for a T-cell count, or you know, if you have like an immune problem, or if you're trying to raise your immune system or something like that. These are actually really good. So if you're sick or something, try white mushrooms. It brings up your immune system. I saw it in an article, medical magazine and an article. There goes copyright. All right, hang on. La 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 la. There we go. That's what I'm gonna do when Dave Grohl walks up to me. I'm gonna go right to his ear and go la 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 la. That's what we have to do, little punk ass. There we go. La 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 la. All right, and this right here is what you call turkey. You will be persecuted. They will try to starve you, but don't put the chip inside your body. You'll be fine. Because if the chip has a locator in it, it can kill you by exhausting you. And you don't want to have like a locator or anything like that on you or in your body, because they'd be able to track you. You know, like if you walk away from a car in your middle of like I don't know, anywhere, any kind of market, any kind of like parking lot, and you just walk away from the car, you're gone. It'd take hours to find that person. But with a chip, they'd be able to find you in a few seconds. The drone would be. This would be like in the future. So don't let a chip go into your body ever. That's what God doesn't want. Because they'll regulate your food like they did Paul before they cut off his head. They weren't able to cut Paul's head off until they did that, until they drained all the food from him. Then they were able to cut his head off. You could see it in Bastard Sword that was aired, that people say is fake. That's not fake. They really cut that guy's head off. I saw it. I lived with some military people. They showed it to me. One of the guys, one of my neighbors, he was a demolition expert in the Army. His friend also was military. They were able to access the Bastard Sword and show it to me. They cut the guy's head off because he was Jewish. And he was in an Islam territory and slept with one of their women. So they cut his head off. Because he didn't listen. It's a real thing. You can watch it. But it's hard to find now. They've outlawed it. I wouldn't recommend it. It's really messy. They gave the guy drugs, most likely opium, to calm him down. And they starved him for several days. Then they ripped his head off. I could tell by watching it. He was sitting like this. Just like that. They stood him up, grabbed him by the head, ripped his head right off because of adultery. True story. It took them a while to find the guy. It took them years to find him. They found him. He felt really bad. He said, "Please forgive me." But here's something that you don't know. Before they ripped his head off, he confessed it to Jesus. They did, true story. That way, he wouldn't go to hell. How you like that, Dave Grohl? This is how I eat. It's just a weird way. Don't worry about it. I'm kind of a violent eater. I say things that are disturbing when I eat. It's a true story, though. There is a website that showed it. It was an execution of a man, a Jewish man, in Islamic territory in the Middle East, and they cut his head off. They televised it, aired it on illegal sites in America. It was 100% real. Look at the salad. 100% real. It really happened. So beware. Don't go over the Middle East. The guy like Knockway, crazy. His reporter guy that had the video was a war photographer. He got killed. Headshot to the head because he wasn't fast enough, and he had a video camera which takes longer than rather just snapping shots. They killed him by a headshot. Why they didn't kill James Knockway, I don't know. They'll get him in hell though. He may go to heaven though for good photography. It's hard to say. He tried to save some lives. He begged for the lives of some of the people that were over there. Of course, he became famous for it. But he begged for the lives of not to execute them because they were in the wrong territory and they had a different nation belief. See, I believe in Jesus Christ. They stopped crucifixions a long, long time ago. But they still have lethal injection. But I've seen a movie called Apostle by Robert Duvall. Because I was trained at the Actors Studio, we train to think a certain way. And Robert Duvall trained us to think that murder is not the option. And Christianity, even though it's surrounded by a murder of Jesus Christ, which is the crucifixion. Jesus Christ was murdered, but he was crucified for the will of God. And the apostle, which is Robert Duvall, he seeks revenge and doesn't think about it, and then has to run from the authorities for the rest of his life until they find him. And he goes off and starts over, asks God for mercy, and he becomes an apostle. That's what you do. You ask God for mercy and you become an apostle. You don't have to worry about all the sound systems, and you don't have to worry about all the producers telling you what to do. You got one shot. You know you'll lose everything, but at least you'll become an apostle. It's better than what you are, which is nothing. Because without charity, you are nothing. Without charity, you are nothing. And that's the word of God. This guy right here is Sean McDonald. He was a drug addict. And he used to deal with marijuana. He was smoking marijuana like every day. He started selling it, and then they caught on to him. The authorities were going to break in and get his marijuana and put him in prison. But God came to him and said, Sean McDonald, it's time to grow up and stop smoking marijuana. So Sean McDonald decided to grow up and get down on his knees and pray to God, and then he got rid of the marijuana. The next day, the authorities showed up, and there was no marijuana to get. He turned his life over to the Lord with just in an instant. Now, he plays music, and he's about 1,000 times better than Kurt Cobain could ever be. Okay, an apology doesn't work. So I know you've wronged me. There's many people out there that I know, in college, all throughout my life, that you've wronged me, and an apology doesn't work. If you call me up and you say, I apologize, I'm gonna be like, okay, God be with you. But that's not going to work. You have to act out your forgiveness. You have to be with me and mean it. You have to be sincere and faithful with me for me to accept like an apology. An apology doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. How does that help me? You know, it's a crazy world, but there's these people, there's Islamic people. I'm Muslim. They're Muslim people. No, they're not Muslim. They're Amish. They were Amish people. And their family were trespassed on. They were it was a horrible thing that happened. There was a murder, well, there was several murders of these young girls, and it was like a horrible thing. And the guy killed himself after he, did this horrible act of just violence. It's like the most disgusting thing I've ever heard of. The CNN, or it was like some news broadcast that found out about what happened. And the man had already killed himself, so he committed this horrible act upon these school children, and this, they're Amish, is what I was trying to say. Oh man, this is crazy traffic. Let's see if I can make it through here. And he killed himself because of it. So the wife was still living, and he was married, and the wife was still living. So the man that went in and killed these little girls on this, I guess it's called Amish community. I was thinking Muslim. It was actually Amish community. I made a mistake, sorry. Amish community. And anyway, it wasn't Muslim, it was Amish. It was within our own borders. Not that it should matter, but anyway, he couldn't deal with what he did. You know, he killed himself right there on the spot. Why he did it, he lost his mind. They don't know the exact reason why he did it. He just lost his mind. And he basically just, boom, he killed himself. So the wife was still present. She was still at home. The first thing the Amish community did was they went to visit the wife, to tell the wife they had accepted, they had forgiven what was done to their children. Now, I want to tell you about these Amish children, because there's a Christian community that happened to. The Amish children that were being raped and killed by this man offered themselves up. Now, it says in the Bible, you are to offer yourself up as a living sacrifice, but you're also to die for your friends, and there's no greater honor than to die for your friends. So they walked forward and said, you can have me rather than so-and-so, because not all the kids were killed in this Amish community, in this little schoolhouse. Not all of them were killed. So some would offer themselves up and say, you may have me instead of my sister, or instead of my friend. I would rather go. These girls did this. So he would take them instead. And he did this. It really happened. He really did this. Now, when it finally went down, the man, I don't know if he just blew his head off or whatever, however he did it, the woman ran the teacher. And they don't have phones on the Amish community. So she ran up a telephone pole and she made a call to the authorities. And the authorities arrived, found the man dead, found the girls that were dead. A lot of them were dead. I don't know how many. And it took them like not but a day until they went to they found out that the man was married and had a wife. It's a true story. And they went to the house. They're all the way from Minnesota. They went to the house, and they said, listen, we forgive you. We forgive what your husband did. We were taught and trained by Jesus Christ to be forgiving no matter what happens. We forgive you. It made national news, like CNN or some major news broadcast. I don't know who it was, local or national, but it made national news. And it's been documented. And they made a movie about it. Okay? It's been documented as well. It's national news. You can forgive anybody for anything that they do to you, for any reason, because love records no records of wrong. Even if they kill your own spouse, you can walk up to them and say, I forgive you. But that's not what we do in our society. I haven't seen women talking, so I can't make a comment or a review on it. I know Frances McDormand, who's married to the Cohen, or at least one of the Cohens. I don't know if it's Joel or the other, but she was part of that movie. I think she has scars in the movie and stuff. I don't know the take on what they're saying, because Hollywood sometimes says the opposite of what they mean. And I don't know exactly what they were saying because I didn't see the movie, but I know it was up for Best Picture. I thought it might win, maybe. But it was about an Amish community. But anyway, this is what they really did. They asked for forgiveness. And you can do that. If you hold hatred in your heart, it doesn't work. Life doesn't work. Nothing will work for you. I have to forgive my father for whipping my sister 77 times. 77 times. There's that Starbucks. It was right next to Apple. I have to forgive him for that. My sister was bent over on the couch and he whipped her 77 times, and she cried until her voice was hoarse, till she could no longer cry anymore. And I have to look at my dad and say, Dad, I'm sorry you have polio. I'm sorry you were born with polio. I'm sorry. You're a polio survivor, not a polio victim. You're not a polio victim. You're a polio survivor. You survived polio. And you'll have to, forgive me for saying horrible things to you, but you'll also have to accept my forgiveness as being a Christian. You have to accept what I dish out, no matter what I do. We don't do that in society. We have lethal injection. We lock people up. We do all what the Romans do. We might as well just cut their heads off, but we don't do that. But we do give them lethal injection. We don't forgive. We're not forgiving. If you don't pay a ticket, like let's say a parking ticket, I don't know about a parking ticket, but let's say any type of traffic ticket, then you go to jail. There's no forgiveness in our society. We've lost forgiveness. However it came out, whatever English majors there making all the notes and stuff and saying, okay, we can't do this and this, it doesn't matter. We still don't have forgiveness in the most mean form thing. We're not forgiving. We're not hospitable. We don't give things to people anymore. We don't buy presents. We make fun of people. We're critical and we love to kill. And if we keep doing that, guess what? One day we're going to wake up and New York City is going to be flat. There's not going to be a single building in New York City. The whole city is going to be gone in a flash because they can't forgive. They're going to wake up and there's not going to be a single building around. It's going to be ash and rubble. And I know what Harvey Keitel would say right now. Oh well. It'll be a well. Like a well you dip your water into. Gotcha. You have to be forgiving in everything you do until the day you die, or you will go to hell. It says so in the Bible. Amen. There's Apple, and there's the Starbucks, which you can't see under the tree. But if you wait around for a little bit, you'll see it says coffee right here. And it says Starbucks. So know how you think and what you need to see. The whole word. There you go. Starbucks. You're gonna buy your coffee and drop it off at your doorstep.